How awesome is China's infrastructure? Some time ago, the price adjustment of tap water in Guangzhou, China caused heated discussions, and many comments and complaints appeared on the internet. Looking at these discussions, it is not difficult to find that many Chinese netizens obviously think that public services are too simple, thinking that price increases are to make money and profit. In fact, most of China's infrastructure is a livelihood project. China can't make money from these constructions, and most of them are even losing money. This is why major projects involving people's livelihood are almost all led by the government and state-owned capital. After all, it is not easy to achieve a balance between income and expenditure with large investments, long cycles, and huge costs for later maintenance. In this video, let's talk about this topic and see the real value of the livelihood infrastructure industry. Let's look at the railway first. China is a veritable railway power. According to the latest data from the National Railway Group, as of 2023, the national railway operating mileage will be 159,000 kilometers, of which 45,000 kilometers are high-speed rail more than a circle around the Earth. When the People's Republic of China was founded in 1949, there were only 21,000 kilometers of railways in the country. From the perspective of mobile equipment, the current national railway locomotive ownership is 22,400 units, of which 7,800 are diesel locomotives, accounting for 34.7%. 14,600 are electric locomotives, accounting for 65.3%. From 1997 to 2007, China's railways experienced 6 major speed increases. In 2008, the Beijing-Tianjin Intercity Railway was completed and put into operation, which became the starting point for China's high-speed rail construction. China's high-speed rail has won many firsts in the world operating mileage, ranking first in the world for more than 10 consecutive years. China's high-speed rail mileage accounts for more than 70% of the world's total. China has become the country with the longest high-speed rail operating mileage, the largest scale under construction, and the most operating EMUs in the world. The commercial operating speed ranks first in the world. The operating speed of the Fuxing EMU can reach 350 km per hour, making it one of the fastest commercial operating trains in the world. Compared with other countries with mature high-speed rail, the fastest speed of high-speed rail in Japan and France is 320 km per hour, Spain is 310 km per hour, and Germany and Italy are 300 km per hour. The urban coverage rate ranks first in the world. Among cities with a population of more than 1 million, China's high-speed rail coverage rate has reached 94.7%, providing people with convenient and fast travel options. The operating level ranks first in the world. Take the punctuality rate as an example. China's high-speed rail can reach 99%. In comparison, Japan is 95%, Spain is 93.3%, the Netherlands is 86.6%, Portugal is 65.2%. China's high-speed rail has also gnawed many hard bones. China has the world's first high-cold high-speed rail, Harbin-Dalian high-speed rail. The maximum temperature difference between winter and summer along the Harbin-Dalian high-speed railway is nearly 70 degrees Celsius, and the lowest temperature along the line is 40 degrees Celsius. China has the world's longest high-speed railway bridge. The Danyang-Kunshan section of the Beijing-Shanghai high-speed railway is 164.851 kilometers long, making it the world's longest bridge and the longest high-speed railway bridge. There is also China's most difficult road to heaven, the Yunnan-Ningxi section of the Sichuan-Tibet Railway, which is 1,298.092 kilometers long and uses double lines to cross the Hengduan Mountains. The total length of the tunnels in the Yunnan-Ningxi section is 843 kilometers, and the tunnel line accounts for as high as 84%, of which there are 6 special tunnels over 30 kilometers. More importantly, the line from Chengdu to Lhasa has ups and downs, with a cumulative climbing height of 16 kilometers, equivalent to 2 Mount Everests. It is called the most difficult railway to build in the world. Behind these achievements is huge investment. Railways, especially high-speed railways, are a money-burning machine. Data shows that from 2013 to 2022, the National Railway fixed asset investment will reach 7.7 trillion yuan, 1.9 times that of the previous decade. In terms of construction cost alone, the unit cost of a high-speed railway with a speed of 350 kilometers per hour is about 100,200 million yuan per kilometer, and the unit cost of a high-speed railway with a speed of 250 kilometers per hour is about 50,150 million yuan per kilometer. The cost may be higher in special geological conditions. In the past 15 years, China's railway profits have only been positive 3 times, and more than 95% of high-speed railway lines are operating at a loss. It can be said that the country has borne too much behind the scenes. But the accounts cannot be calculated in this way. Studies have shown that for every 100 million yuan invested in high-speed railways, the surrounding GDP can be increased by 180 million yuan. Not only does it improve everyone's travel efficiency, it can also drive an industrial chain of tens of trillions of yuan and absorb a large number of labor forces. For example, in 2017, China built 2,000 kilometers of new high-speed railways, providing employment opportunities for 5.65 million people. It is precisely because high-speed railways have so much long-term value that world powers have to build them even if they lose money. There are only about 20 countries in the world that have high-speed railways, and more than half of them are concentrated in Europe. The cost of building high-speed railways in Europe is more than twice that of China. Let's look at power infrastructure. Here's a statistic. In 2015, China became the first and only country in the world to give 1.4 billion people access to electricity. This is true universal coverage. From the Tibetan Plateau to the deep mountains of Yunnan, every village in China has access to electricity. When the People's Republic of China was first established, the per capita electricity consumption in China was 8 kilowatt-hours. By 2023, the per capita electricity consumption will be 6,539 kilowatt-hours, 817 times the original amount. This achievement is not easy, and China's power grid has made great efforts behind it. First, strong power generation capacity. In 1949, China's annual power generation was only 4.3 billion kilowatt-hours. By 2018, this figure had become 7,111.7 billion kilowatt-hours, an increase of 1,652 times, and the total amount exceeded a quarter of the global power generation. In fact, as early as 2011, China's power generation ranked first in the world, and China also became the world's largest power country. Second, ultra-high voltage technology. More than 80% of China's energy resources are distributed in the northwest, but more than 70% of electricity consumption is concentrated in the east and central regions. In order to supply electricity to the whole country, there are projects such as west-to-east power transmission and north-to-south power transmission. In order to achieve this long-distance and large-scale power supply, China has the courage to study ultra-high voltage technology. In 1949, the highest voltage level of China's power grid was 220 kV. In 2018, the highest voltage level of China's power grid was 1,100 kV, the highest in the world. Third, the huge scale of the power grid. Data shows that in 1949, the total length of power lines in China was only 6,474 kilometers. By 2018, the loop length of 35 kV and above transmission lines in the national power grid was 1.89 million kilometers, not counting the lower voltage levels, which was 291 times that of 1949, equivalent to 47 laps around the equator. With these foundations, China can achieve true 24-hour uninterrupted power supply. Don't underestimate this indicator, it can be very useful at critical moments. In 2021, due to the unprecedented winter storm, half of the United States was frozen into popsicles, and millions of families and businesses were without water and electricity for several days. In order to keep warm, Americans even bought out all the electric blankets in China. Some people say that if you encounter such extreme weather, no one will be able to eat. But in fact, before that, Dezhou, Shandong also suffered a cold wave, with the lowest outdoor temperature reaching -10 degrees Celsius. Faced with the same natural disaster, no household in Texas, China, lost power. In fact, in the impression of the Chinese, after the snowstorm in 2008, there has been no large-scale power outage in China. According to data, during the 14th five-year plan period alone, the state grid plans to invest $350 billion, about 2.23 trillion yuan, to promote the transformation and upgrading of the power grid, mainly in the fields of digitalization, backbone network ultra-high voltage construction, and energy storage construction. Finally, let's look at the medical field. China's medical reform can be said to be a miracle. In the past few decades, China has woven the world's largest universal medical insurance network, with basic medical insurance covering more than 1.3 billion people. In a report by the world-renowned medical journal The Lancet, China was rated as one of the 5 most improved countries in the world. In 1949, the average life expectancy of the Chinese population was only 35 years old. Today, the average life expectancy of the Chinese population has increased to about 78 years old, a full increase of 43 years. Life expectancy per capita is highly correlated with the level of per capita GDP and the medical and health system, which is an important indicator for measuring a country's medical and health system. Specifically, to date, China's basic medical insurance coverage rate has stabilized at more than 95%. China has integrated the New Rural Cooperative Medical System and Urban Residents Medical Insurance, and has fully established a unified urban and rural residents basic medical insurance and major disease insurance system, building a more fair and unified medical security system. Data show that in the past decade, the number of participants in China's basic medical insurance has increased from 540 million to 1.36 billion. The per capita fiscal subsidy standard for residents' medical insurance has been increased from 240 yuan to 610 yuan. The proportion of hospitalization expenses paid within the policy scope of employee medical insurance and residents' medical insurance is about 80% and 70% respectively. Take medicines as an example. The Medical Insurance Bureau is famous for its bargaining ability. The average price of drugs purchased by the centralized procurement has dropped by more than 50%, and the average price of 3 batches of consumables purchased by the centralized procurement has dropped by more than 80%. Since the centralized procurement reform, the cumulative cost of drugs and consumables has exceeded 400 billion yuan. In addition, in rural areas, as of 2021, various medical insurance systems have cumulatively benefited 123 million rural low-income people from seeking medical treatment, reducing the burden of medical expenses by nearly 122.41 billion yuan. Compared with the past, decades ago, when medical resources were severely insufficient, rural people were sick. They either asked a barefoot doctor to prescribe some Chinese herbal medicine, or asked a witch to light incense and burn some paper water to drink, all relying on their bodies. Compared with foreign countries, data shows that the coverage rate of public medical insurance in the United States is actually not high. Medical expenses in the United States rank among the highest in the world. Rich people can enjoy the best services, and cancer can be cured. Those without money can only rely on themselves. Behind this, there is also a lot of investment, even dedication. In the UK, a doctor sees no more than 20 patients in the morning. In China, each expert has to see 40 to 50 patients in half a day, and doctors perform surgery after get off work or even at night. Chinese medical staff have indeed endured too much sadness. There is also a lot of investment at the national level. In the past 10 years of the new medical reform, a total of nearly 10 trillion yuan has been invested, with an average annual growth of nearly 15%. In the future, more investment will be made in new medical infrastructure and medical staff salary reform. There are far more infrastructures related to people's livelihood than these. Transportation, post and telecommunications, water and power supply, scientific research and technical services, culture and education. These are the common material basis for the production, operation, work and life of all enterprises, units and residents. Throughout 2023, China's infrastructure industry investment will reach 23 trillion yuan, accounting for 18% of China's GDP. These figures seem far away from us, but in fact they are closely related to our lives. The roads we walk every day, the bridges we cross every day, the shopping malls we visit, the high-speed rails we take home during the holidays, are all products of infrastructure. In the face of these industries, many people have also had such arguments. This is a monopoly industry, and market competition should be fully liberalized to let the market set prices. In this regard, the old developed country Britain has made attempts. After Mrs. Thatcher came to power in the late 1970s, she gradually promoted the privatization reform of state-owned enterprises, and the proportion of state-owned enterprises in the UK was once reduced to half of the original. For example, the British Railway Company was split into one rail company, 25 passenger companies, 6 freight companies, and numerous vehicle leasing companies and maintenance companies, a total of more than 120 private or joint stock companies. In theory, the service and efficiency problems of the giant British Railway Company were solved by splitting up. But the result was that after the split, the number of operating accidents of British railways increased sharply. Because the privatized rail companies, under the pressure of shareholders, only focused on lowering costs and reduced investment in maintenance and construction, and also hired a large number of low-quality employees. In this field of infrastructure that concerns the national economy and people's livelihood, only by concentrating on major tasks can we benefit more people at a lower cost. This is China's biggest advantage. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more great content. See you next time.